The way I got into music to begin with was very politically charged, right? Rage Against the Machine and Public Enemy, and really Rage is how I fell in love with the guitar and with music and with just having a voice and just being anything but like apathetic, just really just giving a damn. And so that was how I always kind of treated music. This day and age is a little harder to find, I think, artists who feel brave enough or who have the means to speak on anything uncomfortable, right? It's a weird time right now. We don't necessarily get, as artists, we don't necessarily get to have a one-to-one exchange with the fan. Let me see if I can say this right without sounding like I got it all figured out, because I don't have it all figured out. We used to be able to go talk to the fans. They would buy the record. We would be able to say some things that would piss off, movers and shakers, but we're there having an exchange with the fans. This day and age, the fans get the music for free, and so for my friends and I to make a living, you had to kind of kowtow to brands and corporations, right? Like that's kind of how the industry has flipped a little bit. Is there's still money, we still are all out here eating, and that's all fine, but we don't really get the money from the fans, right? The fans, maybe they come and buy a t-shirt, and we get the love from the fans, we get purpose from the fans, but as far as putting food on the table, this day and age, you sort of gotta buddy up to corporate America. That's just kind of the way the game is, as I see it. And the good news is that means that the artists, the creative people, are taking the money from the corporations, and I think we should take that money, get the money. I came to California to pursue music, so I was already fully in love with it. I was 10 years old when I got my first guitar. My godfather, who I'm named after, brought me this dilapidated guitar. In fact, he didn't even bring it to me. This is what happened, is he was moving and leaving some stuff in my mom's basement. One of those things was a guitar, and I just co-opted that thing. And I remember it to the day. I remember the moment that I found that guitar showed up at my mom's house, and everything changed. And that was that. From that day, I called my friends, I put the guitar down on the kitchen table and sort of plucked it, on the house phone, and we had 4 of us who lived on the block. We all got guitars and drums. We started a band in my buddy Bradford's basement, and it has been full pursuit ever since. So yeah, that block is responsible. My friends, and the fact that we were able to kind of be one-upping one another the whole time. And so yeah, I give so much credit to that. And Baltimore at that time, this is early 2000s, was happening with the scene, the rock and roll scene, being in a band was the rite of passage in that part of town. People are big on sports and water, boats and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that people are into in Maryland, but at that time and in my circle of friends, being in a band and making a joyful noise was the thing. So we did that, and then shortly thereafter, in pursuit of the next step, LA was the spot.
And how old were you when you came to LA?
I think I was about 19. And I wasn't even meant to stay. I actually was still in a band in Baltimore, and we had just released our first little EP. I was here for 3 months just to study music, and I was meant to go back. I had broken up with my girlfriend, and I was all heartbroken. I was like, I gotta get away. Let me go to LA and dip my toe in. And man, I never went back after that. It was.
So you've been in LA ever since?
Yeah.
LA based.
Yeah. I do travel a lot, so I get back to Baltimore regularly. I was there 2 weeks ago, but this is the spot where I really felt like I became myself, and where it really feels real. Pursuit of creative arts here is not some weird thing that is hobby oriented. It's real life. So I get a lot of energy out of that. I can remember. I tell this tale now when I'm around my mom, because now it's funny, but at the time I can remember saying, I'm gonna do the music thing for life, and doing it almost from just to be a brat, because I knew my parents didn't really understand. They're not that, they don't do music like that. I'm sort of the odd man out in that regard. But so I can remember as a kid thinking that would push her buttons, and thinking that that was like a incendiary thing to say, but the more I said it, the more that I really just became that, you know? I just always knew that, and I haven't cared about anything else. My grades started dropping, I mean, right from then, you know? From when I was 10, it became a problem at school, and it was terrible for my folks, for sure, because they didn't know what to make heads or tails of it, and they just were wondering, like, why is he suddenly in trouble all the time? And you know, it wasn't their fault. There's nothing they could do. I had just discovered passion, and so now anything that wasn't directly in line with that, I was like, didn't have any bandwidth for. So fortunately now we can laugh about it because we've grown into it and it works, but I think I was terrifying my family for a good long time.
It's good that you can acknowledge that, you know?
Yeah, now we're good. Now we're straight. I paid their rent or something once or twice, or lent them some money or whatever it was, or got them some tickets to a show, and then they're like, okay, maybe we're gonna be okay, you know?
That's great. One thing that, Annex, we follow you on Instagram, and we see that you are giving back to your fans with a lot of tutorials, and, you know, promoting different types of guitars.
Oh yeah.
So can you talk a little bit more about that, about the types of, you know, the type of equipment that you use?
Sure. Well, Paul Reed Smith Guitars gets the biggest shout out all the time, okay? They're from Maryland, but they are our hometown heroes as well. And when you're growing up in Baltimore or DC in a band, like having a PRS guitar is akin to whatever, having a Corvette. I don't know what the alternative, you just have to have one of them. So that was just built into me, but they also make the best guitars on the planet, and that is just bar none. So I'm fortunate for that, because if they were making mediocre guitars, I would still ride for them, because I ride for my hometown. But they actually make the best guitars on the planet. And anybody who is watching or reading this will, I think, totally agree with me on that. Third level on PRS is they are just spectacular to work with, and they've been really cool. This dude Win Krozak, who is my like liaison there, has just been the coolest, man, as far as supporting what I do and seeing it in me early on before even I had some sort of proof of concept of what I'm doing. And so anyways, I just can't say enough good things about PRS. I'm so fortunate to be like in this era of music, I feel like, because the ability to just make records on a whim and not have to book out studio time and not have to spend $250,000 to like get your ideas out there, it's such a blessing, you know, that I can't even imagine how much music I would have still stored up in me if I was around 20 years ago and there was that bar to entry. You know what I'm saying? So I really enjoy and I benefit from the fact that the tech game is, you know, the curve is so high right now and how quickly stuff is evolving. I use a program called Ableton. It is super intuitive. They care about being on like the bleeding edge of everything, and they care about being like lending a voice to young creatives, you know. And so it's such an awesome marriage, I think, between the tech wizards who are over there happily doing their genius thing, but then also being like, you know what we want to do? We want to make sure that like poets and singers and rock and rollers like can say what they're trying to say. It's a marriage, man. The Falconry comic book is slated for release in 2020. It is like a big labor of love, and it's the first time I've done anything like this. So the time frame, like how quickly or slowly these artists work, is all brand new to me. But I love the process. So there's a dude named Anthony Decidue. He works with Marvel and many other outlets, and he has been with me from the get-go. He does all the character design. He has started illustrating all of chapter 1. He's like a wizard. And Anthony is in the middle of writing his first book right now as well, which he is, you know, I think I would like to say I helped inspire him to do it, is we were bringing him in on all the writing sessions. A lot of times the artists don't come to the writing sessions. Yeah, they sort of, the writers are over here, and then you send it to the illustrators, and it's sort of all, everybody's kind of in their own little space. But Anthony, because this is my first comic book ever, and I don't know the rules, I was like, come in on the writing sessions, have 2 cents, you know? I mean, we want to know what you think. And that we really benefited from having his taste. So Anthony's killer, and then Tom Neely is the name of the artist who works on Image. He has a book called Humans that is really special and has the sort of punk, rocky, biker, gangy type, like knife wielding thing.
Right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, man, totally into it. And I met Tom at San Diego Comic-Con 2 years ago. And I mean, from across the room, I saw his thing. And me and my girl were about to leave. This is like one of these moments that I'll talk about for forever, because we were gonna leave the whole con, long day, you're like exhausted, you've seen so much freaking art, you're like just numb to it. And then I saw Tom's thing across the way in Artist Alley. And anyhow, over the past year and a half, we've gotten really close, and I've checked out all of his art. His art all hangs in my house everywhere, you know? And he will be illustrating chapter 0, which is the prequel, in January. And I just am huge fans of these guys, and I try to give them all the space to like do it on their time, and yet I'm bothering them and like, well, what about if we change this? And you know, so anyways, and then the third artist's name is Brendan Wyeth, and he is my concept guy, where he's helped me develop the website, the universe that you're able to immerse yourself in on the website. Brendan is the guy who I describe the universe to him, how the 9 different planets work and like what the sort of physics is of it. He goes, okay, I'll call you back in an hour. He starts sending me pictures of, he had bought a styrofoam ball, chopped it up. He's like making 3D models of the universe. You know what I mean? He says, okay, now I've got the lighting, so I have to like check it all out. So he's like this super hands-on guy. And also what Brendan has done that's so special is he sends me all of the sketches. The other dudes are like a little bit more perfectionist, a little bit more like me, where I'll see it once they have kind of leaned into a little bit. Brendan has sent me the little bar napkins that he's made on, you know.
You're getting a little bit of every step of the way.
All 3 of these guys, I've learned so much from the process, or about the process from each of them. And at the end of it all, come the top of next year, we know it'll just turn into our one singular thing.
Amazing. So that's